Hello, everybody, indeed. Welcome to Metanorn's mini talk for Gargantia on the Virtuous Planet, Episode 9, Deep Sea Secret. I am Jrow, joined by a full house of people. Fosh is here.
Hey, what's up?
Min is here.
Hey.
Sumairii is here.
Hello.
And Highway is here.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so we're all on trying out Google Plus for this hangout, hoping that the sound quality holds up, especially with a gaggle of people here today on a very eventful episode of Gargantia to talk about. But let's first start off with some news that has come out recently about the series. There's going to be a spin-off manga, Mizuhana no Bellows, which takes place before the events of the anime series and focuses on Bellows before she joined up with the fleet. That should be a interesting read for however many chapters it lasts. I would guess a few. The BD Blu-ray disc is going to have an OVA, and there is some designs for a 15-year-old Ridget, so I would guess that the OVA would center around her before she joined the fleet. So
I guess that means Skyway. Yeah, Skyline gets his wish.
Yeah.
Wait, which character?
She wears
the
glasses.
fleet commander.
Yeah, fleet commander now.
Oh, the woman with the glasses. The
Ridget,
previous
yeah.
episode.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, she recently took over command.
Okay.
Dynamite toe body. And there is a 1-to-1 scale chamber head that has been made that people can sort of, sit in and act like they're sitting in chamber and talking to him. It's kind of neat, but it's just a head.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah.
And then
Where
there's
is it?
Yeah, it's somewhere in Japan. I don't know exactly where. And then they also had some seaweed food in like some plastic, and it had like Red's face on it eating the seaweed.
Well,
Sounds like quite the experience.
I was gonna say that the manga spinoff kind of like Valve Red did the same thing. Saki in Next Show gets her own manga set series now.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, check.
Because
Not surprised.
yeah, because it shows these popular characters. Maybe they might get their own spinoffs.
All right, so let's talk about episode 9. The first 14 minutes of the episode, we're basically seeing Red fighting some whale squid and finding this, secret laboratory research center. And there's one flashback with Pinion's brother that we see. They were going into the same area pretty much, and Pinion's brother went in and got, killed
too
by some
friendly.
whale squid. Yeah.
Got a little too close.
Yeah. And then the eye catch comes up, and from there is a video that Red finds, and after basically getting Chamber to realize, hey, I'm the one in command here, you have to show me the video, he shows it, which, red flag right there, a little reluctance to actually show the video. It is a video of Earth, as we've always been curious about watching this series from a long time ago, right before the 5th Ice Age that had hit, and there's so many different parts to this. Ryan Matsumoto is sort of the lead guy here. He was him and another doctor were sort of spearheading this operation to leave Earth, and there were just so many other things with him, and it's difficult to talk too much about him specifically without getting into the other things. There's this group of people called the Evolvers that caught a lot of resistance from the government, and they were trying to evolve and leave Earth as the Ice Age was coming. That caught a lot of resistance, and there's a great divide there between those two different factions.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing that. Like you said, the flashback, and it even showed that Chamber was kind of like not really wanting to show the data to Red at first, but Red's like, I'm the commanding officer on this planet, so I'm the highest ranked, so show me the data. He did it anyway.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. Like, Chamber is, he's an AI, but he has some sort of sentience where he can make that judgment, but then when Red just leads him down a different path of logic, he suddenly decides to follow it. It's pretty nuanced thinking there.
Well, I don't know. It seemed like that was pretty easily gotten around. I mean, there've been the issue would be, I mean, I'm sure it was flagged as origin of Hideao's is restricted information. And if it was really restricted information, he wouldn't have gotten around it with that easy logic. So I don't think Chamber was really trying to keep it away from him.
But there was one thing that Chamber mentions later in the episode, implying that it was just some sort of propaganda video, but it doesn't seem like Red's really buying it.
Oh, right, yeah, he's like, it's not real, like he was trying to cover it up, almost. Going back on his order or whatever.
I'm wondering if that's kind of just because, I mean, as advanced as Chamber is, he's still an AI, and I'm wondering how much of that was like programming from the Galactic Alliance to make him always, you know, if the enemy of the Galactic Alliance is, you know, got this video showing proof of something else, then his only defense against that is to say, oh, it's just propaganda, it's not real.
Yeah, and for me, that kind of says a lot about the Galactic Alliance of humankind, because we've heard the thing about, I believe the word was purging people that are too weak, and you have this sort of enemy that they've basically said they're just pure evil. I'm blanking on the exact words they were using in episodes 1 and such, but if the people in the humankind knew that these Hideaos or evolvers or actual humans, it could kind of create some kind of divide amongst the people that are actually fighting, knowing the true origins of them. And so for the Galactic Alliance of Humankind, there's almost kind of some need to sort of just, you know, I would guess in this sense, just straight up lie to your soldiers in order to get them to fight.
Well, they even showed that, like, when Red kind of remembered his past. He didn't remember it first, so I'm like, they probably wiped his memories, so he wouldn't, you know, think of things like that, because either we don't know if his brother, his clone, whatever you want to call him, gets killed. Like you said, they don't want, if you're sick, they get rid of you. So they had that whole thing where it's like, he didn't remember it until he, you know, something triggered the memory.
Well, I don't know if it really changes much about the nature of the war. I mean, we have wars, plenty of wars here on Earth, where people kill other people. So it's not that humans are against killing other humans or people from humans. I can see where they might have hidden the origin story, because you don't where they don't want to have second guessing about, well, maybe the evolvers were right and maybe the galactic or the Continental Alliance, now the Galactic Alliance, is wrong. But I don't know if it really changes much about the fundamentals of the war.
Well, I think what it does is turn it into genocide from hunting, right? Before you're thinking you're fighting this alien, non-human creature, so it's basically like wiping out, I don't know, some sort of animal. But now it turns into you're wiping out these humans because they are different from you, or because they're attacking you for reasons unknown at this. Well, we're assuming this is a continuation of a rebellious war. Then you have politics instead of just blind, these guys are bad guys because they are not human and they're attacking us, so we have to fight to defend ourselves. So I think it adds complexity that the Galactic Alliance would rather not have to deal with. They just say, these are the bad guys, they're not human, we're fighting for our survival, so do anything, anything possible to kill them. And that justifies things like their, killing off the weak and their whole, complete efficiency program. I guess the whole idea is it's a bit like Nazis, right?
I think we have to consider how the war has kind of changed. Now, well, I think it's changed. I want to say originally it started off more as kind of I hesitate to say religious, but kind of, the group of people who would say, it's not our place to play God, and so we shouldn't be messing with stuff like genetics. And so the people who are forcefully or evolving themselves, they're clearly doing something that's an affront to our beliefs. And then that has, over so many years, centuries, or I don't know how long the time period has been between then, it's kind of evolved into a battle of, these are now monsters, and we're fighting to defend our race against like invaders. Well, when it actually started off against, people were just trying to survive, and they were exploring different methods to survive, and then there's this fundamental difference in beliefs that, should we mess with ourselves in order to survive? And then one group says, no, we have all this other possible technology we can explore, and it clearly worked. Then the other group, they say, well, we can make ourselves survive by just modifying our fundamental selves, and it kind of worked with them too, except now they're just being hunted down because of this fundamental difference in beliefs that I feel like has been completely forgotten now, at least for the people on the front lines. I'm not sure how much the heads of the Galactic Alliance actually know about the conflict. Maybe they do know like everything, but certainly Red and all the other soldiers, I would like to believe, have no idea about any of this. Maybe not even Chamber, and so it's like this whole battle has really warped from what it used to be.
I don't know if it's really warped. Change again. I don't know if it's really that much of a different kind of thing. I think it's still a war between two groups of humans, essentially, and I never got the impression that the Galactic Alliance was wiping out the Hideos. It seemed a lot more stalemate-ish to me, like they were trying a major offensive that didn't work. They were holding on to their own planet. I mean, it seemed like a really balanced kind of war.
Yeah,
But
it might be balanced. Sorry, go on.
The point you make about genocide is an interesting one, though, because I was wondering about the same thing with Red wiping out everything on Earth.
Is that not like the Galactic Alliance saying we're going to wipe out the Hideos then? I mean,
well, I think
balanced.
It might be balanced, but Galactic Alliance's goal is to kill all the Hideos.
Right.
That's the sense I got.
Right, but I think it's still genocide whether it's a different species entirely or some descendant of humans or uplift from humans or something like that.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe it could be considered genocide, but like if we hunt down all dodos like we did, that is different from hunting down and killing all, humans of a certain type, I'd say. One's a lot easier to sell politically, especially if the dodos are trying to kill us.
Well,
Right.
It's one of those things where if the other beings are sentient and have agency on their own, I don't know if it really matters what the source is.
Well, if it didn't matter, then the Galactic Alliance would not have to hide the fact that the Hideos were actually humans. I mean, if it's not a big deal, then why not just tell everyone, these are just humans that we don't like, just kill them anyway. Instead, they're saying these are monsters that are attacking us, so we have to defend ourselves.
Lying to their soldiers, basically.
Well, to be a little fair, I don't know what we have or haven't been told.
That's true.
Yeah. I do want to comment. I think it's kind of funny how last season we had Urabuchi's, Psychopaths, which was compared a lot to Shinsekai Yori because they were both dystopian future stories, and this story here with the humans evolving and then creating battle between, that's very similar to Shinsekai Yori. Just the story feels like, or like the skeleton of the story feels like it's pulled right out.
Right.
And I also want to go back to the whole Chamber saying that this might just be propaganda designed to fool you. Like taking that video from a skeptical view, what if it really is just propaganda and it's just a complete red herring? I mean, I feel like because this is sci-fi anime and we're towards the end of the season, this it's probably this is like 99% what's actually true. But if you ran into a video like this in this world, like that, none of this, there's no real evidence to go by until that kind of humanish looking Hideos at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It could just be a really elaborate faked video for all we know, right?
Although I do think what Chamber does at the end of the episode when we see Elaine Matsumoto, who they label as one of the symbionts, get squished by Chamber when Red told him specifically not to.
Yeah, James just like, well, override, and bam, did it. I was like, ouch, that sucked.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Red just didn't get the order out in time, or if
That's what I was
Chamber
thinking too.
But
yeah,
then,
I was benefit of the doubt with that as well.
but then again, like we see this chamber has incredibly precise, mechanisms. So I'd imagine that it can respond to his orders, in the milliseconds. So
Yeah.
I don't think he has that excuse, really.
Extra programming, maybe it's like, well, if he says no, I'm gonna do it regardless because it's the enemy. To him, anyway.
Maybe a little bit of executive override from the Galactic Alliance. Some deep programming that's embedded in him.
So I mentioned symbionts. Let's talk a little bit more about de-evolvers and what they were trying to do, which, they figured that to travel, it was going to take years and years and years and years, so they figured out a way to mix mechanical engineering with biology, which created the Hideals, and you see Ryan Matsumoto, who basically is sort of, you wouldn't say the queen of the Hideals, but he sort of appears to be sort of the main Hideals enemy, like the strongest and the one that gathers all of them together. And Highway, you added a note here about symbionts versus hybrid humans.
Well, I'm just not sure if there's still a symbiont and host relationship like we saw, or if they've turned into more like Lvlln seemed to be, which was an entirely different species.
I want to say the latter is what's true right now. They might have gone through a symbiont phase, but it certainly seems like they're almost completely integrated into the Hidea's being now,
And I really agree with you, because I think they've moved on past that, but and I think they'd have to survive in space for that long.
Right.
I don't know. At this point, I don't know enough, but I feel like I'm going to be disappointed if they ever explain like just how they made these spacefaring humans, because they kind of hand wave over it, saying they combine mechanical with biological engineering, but
they're gonna have to hand wave, because there's no way to explain it aside from yay, anime science.
Yeah, I think it's just future tech.
I'm a mechanical engineer. I can tell you that's not happening.
Right, but so why not? I don't know. I feel like the best sci-fi kind of has a level of believability to it.
Yeah.
I thought it had enough believability with hey, genetic engineering that you guys don't know about yet, and symbiosis.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if they could twist it where the Hideas have visited before and they got the DNA from the aliens. Maybe off of it would be, but
if the aliens really were originally aliens,
by Area 51, that type of thing. But it's not aliens originally, and there you go.
I did like the space elevators they showed. I haven't seen many space elevator depictions in science fiction, so it was kind of neat seeing those like stretch out up from.
I would just look at Gundam 00.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the last time I saw one in anime, I think.
I don't know if I've ever seen one in anime. I just read a whole bunch.
Yeah, in the Makoto Shinkai movie, what was it? Place Promised in Our Early Days.
Yeah.
That was one.
And that one also involved a terrorist attack on.
In Gundam 00, same thing. They attacked the same space thing.
In all the books I read, they attack the elevator too.
Yeah, it feels like it's not very easy to keep those safe. It's a very large target.
I would think so.
Very large.
No,
its structural integrity isn't too good, I would bet.
That's true.
So, overall thoughts on the video? I thought it was a really well done video, and you guys talked about the believability. I really bought into it, and the twist, it's not too big of a twist, really.
Yeah, I know some people were predicting it like weeks back.
Yeah, same here. I was like piecing together. I was watching the episode. I'm like, okay, because they showed like little baby ones. I'm like, all right, I see what they're doing now. They crossbreeded, and now they got,
And by that thought, I kind of, just because it was so, kind of a twist, I wasn't really too impressed. I mean, I wasn't put off by it, but it's just like, well, you could have done something more interesting instead of playing into how it was gonna be, you know, how you've been portraying it sort of throughout the episode. I would have liked for the conflict to remain, you know, between humans and aliens. That that would have been, I mean, like, because you know, the twist, our enemies are actually humans again, and back to humans against humans. Well, that's been done so many times. I mean, sure, granted that humans against something else completely has been done too, but like in that case, at least you get, you know, humans standing up against something together. Whereas in this case, you got to go through the lengthy process of, why can't humans fight together? Well, because we're humans.
You think that's just again sending a message on the nature of humans?
Could be.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought
like on the fact that it's been repeated over and over again. Arudok, who writes a blog called Tenkasaiha, was writing on this episode. He titled it "Soylent Squid." Secret, it's its people.
Soylent Green? Is that a reference I hear there?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, Soylent Squid. So.
Yeah, I still like my idea that Gargantia's origin story of Akamusume. I can see that now. If she's an alien, so let's go with that. That's pretty good.
I think I'm kind of with Smiley here. I don't. The twist was, I didn't expect it. I know a lot of people did.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So I thought it was not a bad twist, but a lot of the details I thought weren't that well done, as I've mentioned already, and also the video itself I thought was just way too conveniently designed, as if they were, which is exactly what it was. It was designed to inform us of what happened, right? But
it's a montage of everything that matters and nothing else.
Yeah, because when you get data from this, abandoned lab, you're probably not gonna get in a prepackaged form that explains it to you clearly like that. So that's another thing. If it's not just for the sake of convenience for the audience, hey, what if that's evidence that it's all a sham?
And I think I see your point. I think something maybe they could have done is worked with this salvaging a lot earlier in the series, but there's some elements of that you take away from the characters. Maybe if it were, this argument sucks, but if it needed more episodes, then you could probably do more and piece together a video.
I think they could have made the previous episode like half as long, and they could have cut down a lot in the previous few episodes.
I don't know. I think that the video was probably fine. I mean, where they are is they're at the headquarters of the Evolvers, and the Evolvers are going to keep the video clips in their library of the stuff that was good about them. I think it works out that, hey, what videos did we find in this office? We found the videos about the people in this office, about the stuff they were doing that were very favorable to them. I don't think it was intentionally propaganda. I think it was just that's what they kept. And
I think the convenience part isn't that it supports them, but rather that it gives us the whole story in a very a nice, concise package and everything that we need, but nothing more. I mean, okay, that's we can chalk that up to brevity for writing. They have their time limits or their writing limits, and that's understandable. But it just felt a little too convenient to me.
I don't know. Like I said, it's their office, and they're going to keep the stuff that as they went through. But as far as this twist went, I liked it a lot better than the one in Psychopaths. I thought this was a lot more natural for the way the show went, and it wasn't just outright to be shocking.
Just a minor pet peeve. This isn't anything serious, but I hate when they do news interviews in anime and they make it look like they're on the set of the Tonight Show. That always annoyed me. Like, it's always via satellite.
And I thought something too. The guy named Ryan, I was like, isn't that the guy in BioShock?
Oh yeah.
Doesn't he do the same thing almost?
Andrew Ryan?
Yeah. So it's like there's a connection there too.
No, says the man in Washington.
Right. We live in our own place, exactly.
Also, a small pet peeve, I guess. Also, the whole underwater thing reminded me. So when they were evolving beings to survive in space, they also tested underwater, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me because those are very different environments.
Pressure-wise, they're not. I don't know.
Well, no, pressure-wise, they're very different. One's zero pressure, the other is high pressure. In water, you can push against the water to accelerate. In space, you have to shoot things out of yourself to accelerate. Stuff like that.
Well, you can jettison water. I think squids do that, actually. They jettison water to propel themselves. But you are right in the whole pressure business, in that it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to develop under positive pressure and then suddenly be able to withstand negative pressure. It's like, well, there you go. It somehow works.
Don't they do that for NASA? They test spacesuits underwater.
Oh,
No,
that's for
leakage, I think,
simulating,
right?
and also for simulating low or zero gravity as best they can.
Maybe they're just fans of squids. Let's make squids. They don't really care.
And the origins of Ikemusame, several hundred years down the road.
Yes.
You had some comparisons between this series and some other stuff.
Yeah, so I already mentioned Shinseki Yori. I also thought Die Buster, which was a comparison I made when I watched the first episode, because the monsters looked so much like the space monsters in Gunbuster and Die Buster. And now in Die Buster, spoilers, there's a twist halfway through that the space monsters they're fighting were actually human-created robots, in this case, that had evolved over thousands of years into these hostile beings. So you have kind of the similarity there, except this time it's humans. And I also thought, when I was watching the video, I was reminded a bit of X-Men, just the whole political deal with the fighting against evolvers, right? Instead of what is it, a Homo superior, as as Magneto put it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And actually, another small reference, or it's not really a reference, but I was also reminded a bit of 2001: Space Odyssey. Yeah, just because it's got the whole, dude in a spacesuit going to find some amazing piece of information about the origin of humanity, or in this case, modern humanity. And he's got the helmet on and looking at it. That's a very loose one. I don't think.
Yeah,
it's
good.
or anything.
Oh yeah, Ryan's wife and daughter kind of looks like Amy.
Oh
right?
yeah, I saw that. I was like, "Is that Amy? Like, what the hell? What's going on?" This is
The
weird.
daughter, I think, was the one that really resembled Amy.
Yeah.
I hope it's just a coincidence. We don't need any of that generation.
If they did that, it'd be kind of weird. She was sitting
I
back in
almost
time.
felt like
Whoa.
the series maybe did that to create some sort of emotional attachment to those characters, have some kind of similarity, and to have me bring up that point like I did just now.
Because Amy's voice actor does voice Squid Girl.
True story. True story.
One thing that I do hope they explain at some point, but I doubt they will, is what is the time frame?
Yeah, that's
how
a
long
great
ago
question.
did this happen?
2 days ago.
Yeah,
2 days ago.
it could be 100 years, or it could have been 1,000 years. I mean, with wormhole technology, 6,500 light years across the galaxy doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot.
Right, but you gotta have the time for the ice to melt.
Right?
Yeah,
time for the Earth to change and for all that history to be
5
lost.
ice ages. That's it.
we know that
Gotta
climate
be
change
at
takes
least
a long
at least
time.
a couple generations at the very least for all that information to be lost.
Well, yeah, I think, and that's what I'm wondering, is it on the order of 500 years or 2,000 years or what? I mean, the planet covered in water is just stupid from the outset.
Yeah, that's the thing that
argued
I
about
mentioned
that
to
before.
Fosh on our episode 2 recording, is that timeline is a big deal, and I would love to see a timeline of
same
what
here.
happens. It's something they don't really mention other than just the 5th Ice Age, and that it was going to take many, many years to travel.
I guess.
To be honest, I looked it up today after they mentioned the 5th Ice Age. We are technically in the 5th Ice Age of the Earth.
Right now, us?
Yes. And
Oh,
we're
well, that's
actually
good to know.
in the late stages of it. So I don't know what they were talking about.
Wait, so actually, when they were talking about 5th, I didn't have this information, but I'd assumed that already by now we should have more than 5. But you're saying this is the 5th.
Yeah, we're in the
cycles take a
5th,
long time.
and because there is still a Greenland ice sheet and Antarctic ice sheet that stay all year. Is kind of how they're defining us still being in the fifth.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
I
we
looked
all
up
get
ice
some
ages.
boats then.
So it's the fifth in like the 4 point something billion years of Earth, not in like the humanity's time.
Right,
of only
exactly.
Right,
Like,
you could average that
wow.
to get a time frame, I guess, if you wanted to.
Well,
Or
if
you
you
could look up
at
the average time
I mean, if
span
you
of
do,
an ice
but
age.
Earth was very different in its infancy too.
Yeah.
so-
That's a fair
all
point.
of the ice ages are in the last however many years. There weren't
And how long
any
do you
before
know?
then.
Did you look up how long each of them took about?
It's on Wikipedia. I don't recall.
Oh, okay. So we could estimate a time frame between the fifth ice age in Gargantia, which we now know is wrong or potentially wrong, and present time in Gargantia. We could get it would be kind of, I guess, conservative, maybe half this time span of an ice age, perhaps. Because we know that before they took off, it was all frigid and cold. And then now, when he's back, it's definitely well into the warm states. So at least half of the period of an ice age has passed, I would say. We could look up a number and use that as a guesstimate for a time frame.
It's difficult to say if there is much if there's that much climate change that there's rapid cooling, you can't really use that kind of reference.
Yeah, so extrapolating always has its problems.
So we got a lower bound, but upper bound. Could
We
be
have a
anything.
guess. How does that sound?
Yeah.
All right, so that's been our episode 9 discussion. Any thoughts to add before I sign off?
Nope.
No.
Kind of wish you had more episodes to work with, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've talked plenty.
I hope
and-
this is the part of the show where they're opening the doors to all the all the secrets now.
you know, all the goodies.
Yep. So for Fosh, Min, Smiley, and Highway, I'm Jrow, and we'll see you next time.